It's not common for people to eat meat, but we know that there's going to be meat served as part of this meal if there is a chicken running around in the churchyard, because then afterwards, chicken is no longer seen running around.
You're spending 5 minutes with a missionary. This podcast is a window into missionary life. It's fun, it's personal, it's real, and it's always an adventure. During this season, we are gathering at the table with missionaries around the globe. Today we'll hear from Pastor Vance and Linda Becker. Vance and Linda help train pastors, teachers, and evangelists at Matango Lutheran Theological College in Kenya.
There have been some times that I have been invited to a area church, like at a village or sometimes in cities. And when that happens, then we're always expected to eat with them. There is a meal. It's not common for people to eat meat, but we know that there's going to be meat served as part of this meal if there is a chicken running around in the churchyard, because then afterwards, chicken is no longer seen running around.
So it's interesting to see the cooking. The ladies have cook over an open fire, which is charcoal, and then they have big, huge pots sitting on top of stones, and they cook a chicken stew with tomatoes and onions and a few spices. Although Kenyan food is not really spicy, it's more like salt and pepper, that type of thing.
If that.
Or sometimes we're served beans and rice, and sometimes we are served what they call chipsi mayai, which is potatoes with eggs. And we also often have greens along with this. The greens are like spinach or kale cooked with tomatoes and onions. And a meal always has ugali.
Ugali is made with ground field corn, which is then boiled, and it ends up being a very solid piece, sort of like a cake. Linda compares it to the consistency of Play-Doh, and they spoon out big chunks of it. You're served from pots in the middle of the table, and they usually they fill your plate for you and hand it to you. And the ugali is what they use to eat with, because they don't use spoons and forks. They eat with their hands. And so at the beginning of the meal, somebody will come around with a basin and a pitcher of water, and you will all wash your hands where you're sitting. And then you take this ugali, and how would you describe what you do with it?
You take the ugali and you form it, if you're having chicken stew, into like a little bit of a bowl, and then you scoop some of the stew in, and then you pop the whole thing in your mouth. So you continue to eat your silverware the whole meal through. And the Kenyans can eat great amounts of ugali.
Oh, they can. And when we eat with them, I'm sure we eat like preschoolers, because we just get all messy and it falls apart. But that's the way it's done.
The other thing is that I found out the hard way is that they don't talk when they eat. And that's often difficult for me, because I'm always talking to the person next to me, asking questions, and I kind of get this look like, I'm eating, I'll talk to you later.
One time you were having a meal with the deaconesses, I think, at the end of your Bible study series.
Yes, and I kept saying, I know you ladies talk when you're down in your dorm room. I hear you. And they finally said, Madame, we will talk when we are done eating. You'd think by then I would have known, but I'm a slow learner.
We have been to a couple of birthday parties and a couple of parties that the choir does for students who are graduating.
The first thing we notice when we come, we usually meet in the school cafeteria, and all the tables are then placed around the walls, and people sit on one side of them, almost like a wedding in the U.S.
There is always a student who's chosen to be the MC for the program.
And they always start with singing a few hymns. It seems like they bring their Ibada Takatifu, which is the hymnal here, and they choose some hymns to sing to start things off. They also have a small cake, which they have purchased somewhere. There are not ovens on campus. In fact, most people don't own an oven, and so if you want a cake, you purchase it. And these cakes are usually nice round, smaller cakes, and they slice them up for like 20, 30 people. So each slice is only about one bite. So the first birthday party we were at, they sliced up the cake, and then I was supposed to come and get the first piece. And I said, no, the birthday person needs the first piece. And they all looked at me and said, no, come up. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll do what you asked me to do. So I came up and I got the first piece of cake and started to go back to my seat. And I was told, no, 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 no. And I thought, now what am I supposed to do? Luckily, I didn't pop it right in my mouth as I was going back to my seat. But I was supposed to feed this piece of cake to the birthday person. And then after a few people have fed the birthday person cake, then the rest of the group all gets a small one bite of this birthday cake.
Then when the party was over, and this is usually, they last a couple of hours, and it's over maybe about 9 o'clock, and it's time to lock everything up again so people leave pretty quickly. But then if it's a birthday party, when you're not expecting it, like when you leave at then, or maybe somebody will get you to go outside for a minute during the party, they dump a bucket of water over your head. That's just what's done when you have a birthday. And that's why I have never let anyone know when my birthday is.
Thanks for spending 5 minutes with the missionary. To learn more about Vance and Linda, go to lcms.org/Becker. You can also sign up for their newsletter using the link in the show notes. You can find this podcast on kfuo.org/missionary podcast or anywhere you get your podcasts. Have you ever thought about serving as a missionary? Reach out to mission.recruitment@lcms.org to learn more.